Welcome to Proven and Probable. I'm your host, Maurice Jackson, and on our show today we have Brandon Green, Precious Metals Consultant for Sprott Money. Before we begin today's show, I want to share a quick little comment that Rick Rule shared with me one day. He shared, storing your precious metals at your home invites people to your home that you wouldn't regularly have over for dinner, that want to replace your precious metals with their metal, which is lead. I found that to be a very interesting comment by Rick. Has a lot of truth and value to it. If you own or wish to own precious metals, we have an expert on this very subject matter, which again is Brandon Green. Brandon, thank you for joining us today.
Not a problem. Great to be here.
Brandon, you know, if I own precious metals and I have it at my house, is that the best way to store precious metals? Or the only way to store precious metals, I should say.
Right.
Do I have?
It's definitely not the only way to store precious metals. It is a top priority and a great way to do it. I mean, you should always have some precious metals in your hand, readily available for any needs in the future, whether they be small coins or large bars. They can be easily converted into the current currency. That being said, once you get to larger levels, there is significant risk to having it at home. So that's when you want to consider a private vault to store those metals, that being anything not under the bank regulation. Because at that time, you know, you can store them, hopefully for a very low cost. They're fully insured. And that being said, you won't be able to insure very large amounts of bullion at home. It's something you'd want to tell your insurance company. And if it comes down to it, where there is a theft or a robbery or anything like that, they may not be covered. And if you do let your insurance company, you want them covered, I think your premiums will be a lot larger than the storage fees through a reputable bullion dealer.
Sounds good. If we're looking at the storage, let me backtrack if I may. Precious metals. Let's discuss that briefly. How much do you think a person should own? I've always been under the impression that 10% is a minimum, and a prudent way of preserving your capital is having 10% in precious metals. And what are your thoughts on that?
That term has been around for a long time, and yes, 10% minimum or approximately 20% is another term that is thrown out there by a lot of economists. Mark Faber is somebody who believes it should be well over that. Obviously, our chairman, Eric Sprott, believes an even higher amount. Everybody's a little bit different. And it's all in their own taste, right? Especially what their asset allocation is, their age, or whatever it may be. Yes, 10%, 20%, definitely. But it's also about, you know, nobody wants to time the markets, but when the fundamentals and timing kind of come into play, you may want to increase your gold holdings at that time or decrease. For example, if I threw up a 5-year chart right now, and it was two lines. One line was on its way up, left to right, bottom to the top, and one line was from the top to the bottom. Which one would you want to sell, and which one would you want to buy? You want to buy high, or do you want to buy low? And the one that's low is commodities, gold, silver, and the one that's high is the stock market. So you can we're trying to ride that train, and you've seen it happen right now, but maybe that at this point in time you'd want to increase that 10 to 20%. And then you know what, in the future, when those lines are opposite, or start to become opposite, then you start to take it off a little off the top and maybe dip back into the regular market a little bit. Everybody's a little bit different, but I'm trying to be neutral when I speak about that.
Well, no, I appreciate that. I've always been under the impression that, personally, I like the number of 25% to 35% based on the financial concerns that we have globally. That's just always been a concern to me. And I've always taken a more aggressive position, and so I'm in the Mark Faber camp of a higher number, as well as the chairman, Eric Sprott. And looking at the price of gold, looking at the price of silver, the valuation to me, I mean, you're looking at being able to purchase a precious metal that is money historically, and you're able to get it right now below the cost of production. This is an amazing opportunity, as you alluded to earlier. Look at the price. Look at the valuation here. And this is the time to purchase. If you don't have, this is the time to purchase. And if you do have, as Brandon alluded to earlier, it's time to add to that position. Opportunities like this come usually once in a lifetime. Do take advantage of the market opportunities. And if someone was interested in adding to their position or beginning a position, Brandon, is that something, a service that you can offer to them?
Well, that's exactly it. I mean, what I do here is I take care of all clients for Sprott Money. So we are a bullion dealer. We supply. I have clients all over the map, from 1 or 2 coins to multi-million-dollar accounts, international storage accounts, international shipping, supplying mutual funds, different types of private equity funds, family offices, you name it. There's a lot of different people I deal with, and everybody gets the same treatment, whether they're calling in and they just want a couple coins and some advice. So that's what we do here.
That's good to hear. And one of the questions I'm always asked is, Maurice, hey, I got some precious metals. What's the difference if I go with let's just say again, a safety deposit box or going with Sprott Money, and then I hear these terms of segregated and allocated. Can you speak on that briefly?
Well, absolutely. I mean, when you talk about a safety deposit box versus a private storage account, I mean they're completely different services and under completely different regulations. A safety deposit box, 9 times out of 10, is at a bank. It's under bank regulation. It's under government regulation. Anything can happen, as opposed to a private account, a private segregated allocated account with a private facility, and it is not subject to bank holidays or anything like that. Take Greece, for example. They shut down their banks for, I think it was about 2 weeks. Now, I may be a little off in the time, but I believe it was about 2 weeks. So you could only take out X amount of euros during that time. But what people could not do is go to their safety deposit boxes. Now, imagine all the people that had gold in those. So you say, okay, I got my gold safety deposit box. I'm gonna, if I ever need it, I'm trying to protect myself against the currency and etc. But that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Imagine if you would have, now those people that could have traded their gold for other people with euros, taken it out of the country, gone somewhere else with it, or anything from there. They couldn't do that. But if they had it in a private vault, like we use Brinks in most of our locations, we have some other partners down in the Caymans and in the United States, but you can get it. Any client could have gotten that, sold it in a different currency. They could have gotten some U.S. dollars, Canadian dollars, yen, you name it. So when you have it, you got to really think about a safety deposit box versus a private storage account. Now, a safety deposit box is going to cost you a little bit less, and I personally don't think it's worth the cost savings for a safety deposit box over a private segregated storage account.
Well, it sounds to me like it's the price difference, as you just mentioned right now, is the peace of mind. When I need it and when I want it, I want to have access to it. And it sounds to me like the best option here is Sprott Money. Now, if I may, so just to confirm here, Sprott is allocated and segregated?
Yes, like you would absolutely get your own bag, pallet, bin, corner. Either way, it's not commingled with anybody else's bullion. It's also allocated, like your account is right on that bag or pallet or whatever it may be. So this is all distinguished at the facility itself. So when you're a client, you actually have your account number. You know your account number. If something happens, unfortunately, to a company like ours, albeit our books are fantastic, I mean, I wouldn't say anything would happen, but you have an account number there as well. You know, it's allocated. Here's what you can say. This is my bullion. You know, if something needs be. If it's just a commingled bullion, it's a sub account. You got a pool account. And you need to get your bullion out. You're going to be going through hoops. It's going to be a very tough time, and that's why you want that segregated, allocated account.
Exactly. Let me ask you this as well. Numismatic coins, is that something that's acceptable?
At the storage facility?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, you can store, private storage accounts, you can store whatever you wish, really. I mean, we strictly stick to bullion for our clients, but at our storage facilities that we use, they're third-party facilities. Other stuff is stored there: artifacts, artwork. I don't know, maybe a car, a 1920 some odd car that's worth in value. So you can store whatever you want at these facilities. It's a private storage account as opposed to your bullion being in a fund, right? You're not buying a fund or a unit, anything with all this counterparty risk. Because when you have a fund, you have the manager, you have the custodian, you have your brokerage, you have everything in between. You're not buying when you have a storage account, you're not buying a fund. You have a separate segregated allocated account in your name. It's yours. It's your name. So you can store numismatic silver coins, absolutely.
I know that's very important for a lot of listeners out there because there are some advocates that really like numismatic and some that are into bullion. And the segregated portion really keys into that you get back exactly what you put in, as Brandon mentioned. That's very important. How about privacy? I know as most of us that own precious metals, privacy is a big concern. How does Sprott Money take privacy concerns?
Very seriously. Very, very seriously. I mean, the majority of bullion clients are buying bullion for, wealth protection, privacy, some speculation. I mean, everybody's a little bit different, but privacy is a concern. So, as a bullion dealer, we are not a bank or a financial institution. Some bullion dealers are actually registered, and that's why their FATCA laws really are definitely in play. That is a gray area for everybody in the industry, but when you are a financial institution, you are absolutely obliged by the FATCA laws and so forth from there. As a private bullion dealer here in Ontario, we are not obligated to report any buys, sells, or holdings to the tax authorities on either side of the border. We do comply with anti-money laundering laws, so suspicious transactions, so forth from there, and we don't take large amounts of cash, but it is a private sale in the end. It's a private account. You get your statements. You can withdraw at any time, deposit at any time. Come get it if you want. I have plenty of clients come up to Toronto, get their bullion, or just do take them to an audit, do a tour, whatever it might be.
Okay. Now, as a client, can I determine the location that I want, where I want my metal stored? The Caymans, Toronto, or do you determine that?
No. You determine that. You have a separate account. I have clients with separate accounts at 3 different facilities or more. We have 6 facilities around the world. You have a separate account at each facility. This is why it is segregated, allocated. These are separate accounts. Each one is completely separated from the other. You don't have to, so you can go to all these different locations and audit and know that it's there.
Okay. And you mind sharing those 6 locations with us?
Yeah, we have our main hub here in Toronto. We have Langley, which is just outside Vancouver, British Columbia, Delaware, Cayman Islands, Singapore, and Zurich, Switzerland.
Okay. And shipping fees. Could you share those the shipping fees associated with if I wanted to forward my metals to you?
Well, I mean, those are determined per transaction. In North America, Delaware, in USA and Canada, Delaware, Toronto, and Langley, we do not have any short shipping fees whatsoever. We don't even have store account opening fees. There's no fees whatsoever. You pay the price of your bullion, and you have your annual rate.
Oh, wow.
For all locations. There's no account opening fees. Some people charge $100, $500. It just depends on who you're speaking to. No account opening fees. For international, it's all dependent. Larger order, I can't really say a definite number because as the order gets larger, the costs compared to the size of the order decrease significantly. So, if you're doing a $10,000 order, $100,000 is not 10 times the size of the shipping. Sometimes it just depends on where it's going, and we're always very competitive, very, very competitive in that rate.
Okay. Now, you mentioned that you sell the bullion product. So, hypothetically, I purchase some bullion, and I don't want to take ownership of the bullion to my residence. I want it to go directly to my storage account. Are you able to do that turnkey, a seamless process?
Yeah, absolutely. It's as easy as calling, locking in a price, sending in your funds, and we deposit it. We can do this all within 48 hours.
Oh, really? That fast?
Yep.
And then, if for me to, do I receive a statement once a month, or do I get is there online? How do I get access just to view my holdings?
You do get a statement once per month. After the first week of the following month, you get a statement of your holdings, your average value of the previous month, and your invoice. We are working on a live login. We're hoping to have this available mid next year. But yeah, you get statements every month. You can always call in to find out what your current size is and what's happening. I talk to clients every day about this.
Okay. Well, I tell you what, Brandon, if somebody wanted to get additional information, what's the best contact number for you?
Yeah, I can be reached regular Eastern business hours at 888-861-0775. That's 888-861-0775.
And the website, please?
www.sprottmoney.com. That's Sprott with 2 T's, money.com.
Well, Brandon, I greatly appreciate your time, and thank you for sharing your message with us today and what Sprott Money is able to do for clients that own precious metals.
Happy to do this, Maurice. Always appreciate and enjoy all of your interviews as well.
Thank you so much, and thank you, folks, for tuning in for Proven and Probable. I'm your host, Maurice Jackson. Till next time.
The information presented on Proven and Probable is provided for educational and informational purposes only, without any express or implied warranty of any kind, including warranties of accuracy, completeness, or fitness for any particular purpose. The information is not intended to be and does not constitute financial, investment, or trading advice, or any other advice. You should not make any financial, investment, or trading decision based on any of the information presented without first undertaking independent due diligence and consultation with a professional broker or competent financial advisor.